Hello, I'm Josh Kennedy, and you're watching Annal-yze. We got a guest here today, and I've asked them to go through the annals of their musical history and find something that stands out to them, a song that's special, meaningful, profound, maybe to them. And today we have with us Ramsey Hall. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey everybody. Hey Josh. What's up?
Thanks for coming on, man. Been a while since I've seen you. It's nice to see your handsome face again.
Yeah, it is nice to see you. It's been quite some time. I haven't seen you since, I don't know, 2 years it seems like I was out there in Austin. So
Wow. Well, the world is getting better, it seems like.
yeah.
So hopefully soon we'll see each other.
Yeah. Planning on it.
Good, man. So tell us a little bit about your musical history. What'd you grow up listening to? I know you're a musician. Go ahead and give people a little bit of background on
Sure.
what you do.
So I mean I grew up in a musical family, been a musician for my whole life, essentially. My brother plays almost every single music instrument in the world. So that's really where I got my first taste of it. And then from there, I just kind of picked up various instruments. I started with bass and guitar, and very passionate about piano. That's really what I play now. Spent some time in a band, traveled a bit, and just experienced life and have fun with it. But yeah, it's a huge background in my life, just music in general. I have a deep attachment to it, and it just runs deep in my family and with my friends, obviously.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You mentioned your brother Corey. He's also a hardware guy. He fixes instruments. He creates his own synthesizer, right?
He rebuilds
pretty technical.
He restores a lot of the old synthesizers that are out there, and I might be getting his Fender Rhodes here.
Oh wow,
that would be something, man. Yeah, it'd be sick.
Yeah, that's incredible. Fingers crossed for that. Yeah, you've been playing piano more lately. A little bit of our history, sort of our connective tissue, is because I was coming up into my freshman year of high school, and you were leaving that same high school to start your freshman year of college, and so you left a vacancy in a punk band. And I was coming into the high school, and the guitarist TJ was still in high school. So I played bass, and I fell in that role, and that's kind of where I got my start playing with other people. So we have that connection, which is kind of neat. What did you grow up listening to? I know your tastes are diverse, but give us some examples.
So much. So I had a lot of different influences. So my mother, she's actually much older than she was much older than a lot of my other friends' parents. So there's a big gap there. So I grew up listening to a lot of big band and things that she would get into that were from a different era, really. So it made me appreciate music, oldies, especially from the 50s, 40s and so forth. And then my brother, just being so much into music himself, he would get me into various types of music, a little bit of disco or funk or so forth. And then when I started developing my own taste in music, it was all based on mid 90s alternative. So Weezer and
some grunge, some punk,
Jim
some pop rock stuff.
Nirvana, everything like that.
Good stuff.
Got heavy into hip hop too for a while. Fell in love with Tupac. I think it was the first cassette tape that I ever bought.
Nice. Nice. That's a good pick.
Yeah. So I mean, just a whole smorgasbord of music. Then I ventured into basically the alternative scene and so forth in high school. Obviously, I was in a punk band, and then from there, I kind of moved over into more of a screamo band, and then I got into metal. So yeah, just always
Didn't
evolving.
We all? Yeah. as was the thing to do at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And today you're stepping in a different direction too. Tell us about your song.
So I chose Debussy's Clair de Lune. It's such a magical piece. So piano, particularly, as we mentioned, I've been playing it a lot lately. So for about 2 years, I've been playing the piano pretty consistently, every day. It was the first instrument I fell in love with. My sister, she was in a dance class. Yeah, I did too. I did dance. It's funny.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But when my mom would take my sister to lessons, They had, this was at the old East School. So for those of people who are from Gas City, know where the old East School is. Down in the basement.
I went to daycare there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down in the basement by the gymnasium, they had an old like acoustic piano down there. I don't even know what. It's probably a Baldwin or something. Just really old. And I was maybe 6 or 7. So I used to go down there and I used to just play with it. And I just love the way it sounds. So piano's always been my first love when it comes to music. Even though I love bass and I love guitar, piano's always been my first love. I just have not had the time to develop my skill set on it and like flesh it out. But from that early age, I think I was introduced to classical music like in depth, like Mozart, from my brother by the time I was like 10 or 12. And Debussy or Debussy, depends on how you pronounce it. I don't know
how American you want to be about it.
Yeah. I fell in love with Clair de Lune, and I told myself, I think I was like maybe 14, I was like, I'm going to learn to play that song one of these days. So here I am in my mid 30s, and I can play the intro, but that's about it. And
I mean,
that's
it's
still
a piece,
a set.
Man. Yeah. It has it's got three different movements in it, and it's gorgeous. So I know very little classical music, honestly. I enjoy it very much when I do hear it, but there's a lot of history there that's just completely lost to me. So I did a little research about this piece, and I found that it was based on an old poem. Did you know this?
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea. And I really do like just the concept of art about art. Like you take one piece and you reinterpret it or use that as a springboard for a completely different piece. I wanted to read that poem for our listeners, and because I think it's a really cool poem.
Oh yeah.
So it's by French poet Paul Verlaine, and it's from 1869 is what my notes say here. Okay. So here's the poem. It's called Clair de Lune, which the English translation is Moonlight. Your soul is a chosen landscape where charming masquerades and dancers are promenading, playing the lute and dancing, and almost sad beneath their fantastic disguises. While singing in a minor key of victorious love and the pleasant life, they seem not to believe in their own happiness, and their song blends with the light of the moon. With the sad and beautiful light of the moon, which sets the birds in the trees dreaming and makes the fountains sob with ecstasy, the slender water streams among the marble statues. That's pretty good stuff. I'm a fan of poetry. I still read poetry from time to time, and I write a little bit as well. And having read that brought a whole new light to this piece, like the vast majority of classical music that I listen to, at least, there's no lyrics in the song. It's a piano piece, and that's it.
And that's one of the key reasons I chose a song with no lyrics. We'll get into that.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Tell us what drew you to this song in particular.
So you approached me and you asked me to think of a song. It's like, there's so many songs. I mean, we've lived together, and you have a pretty good influence on my music taste too. A lot of people that I've been around have. When you asked me, I was like, I want to do something that's a little different. And what I love about classical music is, as a musician myself, I don't catch lyrics. There are songs that obviously lyrics do resonate or stand out with me, and I do have an attachment to. But as music is really what drives me more. I like the goosebump feeling. I like the emotion behind the actual piece itself. And with classical music, there is no words. We're not going to be diving into the interpretation of what we think the words are saying. We have to dive into the feeling that resonates with us when we hear the piece. And that is so universal and undeniable. And I just think that that is such a beautiful way to express music. It's music in its purest form. And if you take back, even with lyric singing, we have hymns that are out there and choir pieces. Those are just as beautiful. But what I love about these pieces of music is that we strip that all down and we listen to the artist expressing what they feel in that moment. And essentially, I believe this piece, he recorded it live in I want to say it's 1913. So in the way that he played, he was one of the key champions of the Romantic era of piano. And just the way that you can just hear the breathing and the notes and the time. Sometimes he rush. There's no steady tempo. There's no like 4/4, 3/4. It is raw emotion. He's just playing it in the moment, and it's very funny. If you've seen the movie Soul, it's very good. But he's in that zone, and I love that. And I wanted us to have a piece of music to talk about that feeling as a musician yourself and as
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. I think it's this is something that I've thought about recently too in different contexts, but that part of your brain or your soul that's pre-linguistic is
Mm-hmm.
before you take the feeling and you have an internal monologue about it, or you actually express it out loud. That space, that pre-linguistic space, is very special, and it is why I like a lot of instrumental music. And it's funny you mentioned not noticing lyrics as much. In the first episode, I say that exact same thing to my little sister, about how it just kind of, it's not what catches me most of the
Right.
time. There's notable examples. You mentioned hip hop, like especially with hip
Yeah.
hop, like a lot of it is focused on the lyrics, so you notice a little bit more. Or it depends what it is, but that's a very good point. So, what kind of feelings do you get from this piece? What is
Man,
what does it speak to you?
that's a little question. I think a lot of it also depends on my emotional state at the moment when I'm listening to it. So um, there's some days where I've been on an emotional roller coaster, and if I'm really feeling it, or if I'm really in pain, or I just need to just kind of release, this song can really do that for me. There's a lot of I'm a very nostalgic person with a lot of sentimental uh, just feelings towards things, and this piece can bring that back to me. And what I love about music in general, doesn't matter what it is, it can, if you can visualize it, you can teleport yourself back to a place in time where you felt that. And with this song, I can pinpoint certain pieces of my life where I listen to it. Some of them are great times, like with my mother, her having it on vinyl, listening to it, and her telling me about her experiences with music. And that means a lot because my mother's not with us anymore. So I have that memory with one of my favorite classical pieces of music. Um, and then of course there's other times, like if you're just having a rough time in life or things are stressful or going on, you can kind of depart when you listen to music and find a calming center to it. And I've attached, and I found someone else who actually commented on this on a YouTube video as well. And I completely agree that when you listen to the song, you could break it up to the 5 stages of grief as well. And if you go into the song and you listen to it, think about the 5 stages of grief and listen to each piece of that music. So what this piece of music has done for me, it's been, to answer your question more forwardly, it's a healing piece. It's something that if I feel chaos, stress, anything that's weighing me down, depression, this song can help me pull out of that. And that's my interpretation.
Yeah, it
I,
sounds like it's something
yeah.
that kind of allows you to see inside yourself a little
Mhm.
more so than perhaps evoking a specific emotion. It's something that you can return to because you've connected so deeply with this piece for so long.
Yeah.
Um, those kind of strong memories and the way we associate those with pieces of music is absolutely incredible. And I think it echoes what you're saying about the capturing the emotion of the piece, especially a piece without lyrics, because
Mhm.
lyrics, I believe, they certainly have a more direct interpretation most of the time. And so you can a lot of times feel more of the artist's intent in it rather than creating your own association and deriving your own meaning from something more abstract, like a series
Mhm.
of piano notes, um, which I think is beautiful. And I think it is a different kind of listening that requires some practice. And instrumentalists like you and I, that's why people who play oftentimes have more an appreciation of those elements of music. And
Absolutely.
I just, in my personal life, I haven't experienced a lot of people who don't play an instrument listening to instrumental music.
Mhm.
Um, whereas singing's universal. Everybody speaks, everybody sings. It's something, and which is also what makes that beautiful, is the universality of it. But both things definitely have their place. And I'm really glad you picked this song, and it's really good to hear that it has that kind of meaning for you. And I think that anybody who watches this would be well served to listen to this piece, and also use this as an opportunity to go through their lives and find those emotional moments and songs that they've deeply connected with, that mean something to them personally, because that's something that a lot of us, I think, take for granted. And don't put much thought into, but it's a really special thing to feel transported in that way by a piece of music. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's really touching and really beautiful.
Getting real over here at Erasure Studios.
it's good, man. Thank you. Yeah,
that's what we do, though.
that's why I wanted you on here. The sincerity and the realness. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks. It's good to see you.
I just felt like it's something that I mean, growing up, I feel like when you're younger, I mean, obviously music's subjective, but when you're younger, you kind of get pigeonholed into certain genres of music. I don't know if it's like peer pressure or what you do, but there's always, like, we joke and say our guilty pleasures of music. Now, you know, classical music's not something I ever hide, but the thing is that I'm trying to state is music is an exploration. There's always something to be discovered. And it's very interesting. I had this conversation with my brother recently because I was listening to a lot of Wu-Tang. And he was like, man, he's like, you're getting, I was like, man, I've listened
36
to
Chambers, man.
Now. Yeah. And
he's
like, and I said, it's really interesting how much your musical palette changes over time. And he made a really wise response to me. He's like, yeah, he's like, honestly, I just feel like you want something new, you want something refreshing, and you want to be able to, you know, if you listen to a certain genre for so long, you kind of tire of it and you want a new experience. And I think that resonates well with music. It's just something that you should go out, listen to, and explore it. And who gives a hell what anybody else thinks about what you listen to?
Absolutely. And chase, chase the novelty, you know. It's good to have comforting music, you know, places that you can go back to. Like I've got those, like a lot of times for me, honestly, it's like heavier metal stuff, because I just spent so much time with it in the past. It's not something I listen to very frequently now, but when I do feel that feeling of like, oh yes, like a return. But it is about the exploration, and it is that's one of the things why I'm doing this show, is because I want to talk to a diverse group of people and say, you know, what's special about music to you, to help other people experience that kind of novelty, you know, give them the opportunity to hear something they may have not listened to otherwise. So thank you for helping me do that.
Of course. Yeah. It's a pleasure, man.
So I have a recommendation for you and for our listeners as well. Since you like Clair de Lune, and if anybody here listens to it and likes Clair de Lune, highly recommend checking out the original soundtrack for Hollow Knight, which is a video game that came out 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
It's by Christopher Larkin. And so I'd listened to Clair de Lune before, you know, I recognize the piece vaguely. Sorry, just a moment. Incredibly parched.
Water break.
Too much caffeine today. So the original soundtrack for Hollow Knight, highly recommended if you like Clair de Lune. When I listened to this piece recently again to, you know, refresh my memory about it for this discussion, some of the melodic phrases in there, there's especially a descent. I think it's like sort of the transition between the A section and the B section of the piece, if you want to think of it that way. There's this melodic descent, and it reminded me of some of the parts of the Hollow Knight soundtrack. There is also there is an all piano version of the soundtrack as well that you can listen to, or the original soundtrack, which is scored. You know, there's a little bit of voice, like choral voicings, but there's no lyrics. Tons and tons of piano, some strings, etc. You know, it's like a fully orchestrated soundtrack. It's incredible. It's incredibly moody. It's also a terrific video game. If you like playing video games, it's gorgeous and brilliant, and the soundtrack really shines. It is actually one of my favorite pieces of music
I
epic.
remember you talking about Hollow Knight. I remember you
Yeah,
telling me
yeah,
about it, saying that I should
yeah.
check it out or play the game. I
You
remember that.
should. You
I'm
should.
not a
It's
big gamer though, so that's what's hard
yeah,
about that.
yeah, absolutely. It is one of those things that it's a very challenging game, but
Mhm,
it is also very simple. You know, it's like a Mega Man side scroller. You have a sword, you attack people, kind of
mhm.
basic action adventure thing. So it's not terribly complex, but it is challenging. So if you're not someone that plays video games very often, that's fine. Listen to the soundtrack anyways. It's gorgeous and captivating. Highly recommend it. Hollow Knight soundtrack by Christopher Larkin. And listen to Clair de Lune too. That's why we're here, is to show you that piece in particular as well as
Yeah.
that recommendation. So take a listen. All right, we're gonna wrap up. Ramsey, do you have anything that you're working on? Anything you'd like to plug? Any of your business ventures that are offering new services, or are you picking up the bass again? You trying to start a new punk band? What are you up to lately?
Yeah. Well, thanks for questioning me. Yeah, I'm always in business ventures. Finally, a lot of crazy stuff that's going on, and I'm feeling excited about that. It's always not in a band, but I do have like 3 other partners that I work with, so it's kind of like the same thing.
Is there anything, are you guys doing anything that you're trying to get new customers for? Because I also want to provide this as an opportunity for you to say,
Yeah.
here's my
So
business, and if you need this service, here's our
yeah,
email address or anything like that you wanted to plug.
yeah, we work a lot with marketing companies and so forth. We are an advertising or marketing company ourselves, so we do back in social media consulting and so forth. We're still building out a lot of things like that, but yeah, I'll
How
have
do we
more
get
information probably the next time.
Okay, next
Yeah.
time then. And you will
Yeah.
be back. And next time I made a joke,
Mhm.
we'll probably do gin blossoms or something like that. Since
Yeah, I was already thinking about that. And
yeah,
that very Ramsey move. That's a typical Ramsey move. Okay, well, it's going to be Jim Blossoms, or it's going to be like, something from the mid '90s or something.
yeah, and it's something that you and I both love a lot.
Mhm.
And that was kind of my
Yeah.
first thought. But
Mhm.
yeah, we'll have you on again, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Make sure anybody
Anytime.
watching, thanks, man. And we're gonna have you on again too. Uh,
Yeah.
make
Looking
sure
forward to it.
Thanks, man. This goes out to you too. I think you already subscribed to the channel, but anybody watching, please subscribe to the channel, like, subscribe, find us on Instagram at Eraser Studios Music. And until next time, I'm Joshua Kennedy, and that's Ramsey Hall. And it was nice seeing you.
See y'all later.
Bye.